This is oats and barley for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on DAZN. I've actually wanted to introduce myself as that to you too many times. I never quite had the bottle. Frank, we're here. How are you, sir?
I'm good, young man. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's great to see you. You're looking tremendously well, my friend.
You're not bad yourself, sweetheart.
What a lovely start. What another monumental fight week. I mean, I feel like I say this to you every time I interview you now.
Unbelievable. I mean, we've got one of the best heavyweight fights out there. We've got two guys who are on a roll, two big heavyweights, two biggest punchers out there in the heavyweight division, and it's going to be something else on Saturday night, no doubt about that.
Every time I've spoke about this fight, the first thing that comes to mind to me is the respect that Daniel Dubois is getting going into it. I personally believe that this is the most respect he's ever had going into a fight. Do you feel the same? And I mean this from the media, the fans, everything.
I think he is from the fans. I mean, I've always had respect for him, but he's got respect going in, you're quite right. And quite rightly so. He's coming off of a real good couple of world-class performances against world-class fighters. You know, his last three fights have been against three undefeated fighters, challenging for the world title, Baby Miller, and then fighting for the interim title against an undefeated fighter again in Hrgovic, who's probably one of the most avoided heavyweights in that division.
Out of curiosity, where has your faith in Daniel Dubois, why has it been as strong as it has? And I look through some of it's not been a straightforward journey. You look at obviously the defeat to Joe Joyce, and then you get the quitter remarks thrown about. You've always stood by him. The Lorena fight, he had to really overcome some stuff with that. I mean, he actually looked pretty good against Oleksandr Usyk. But if I speak as a fan, what I've seen in Daniel Dubois in the last 12 months, I didn't expect 2-3 years ago. You've always seen that. Why is that, Frank?
Well, I don't agree. I mean, the fight he had against Joe Joyce was a competitive fight, and he was in front on the judges' card. And if he stood up, he'd have won the fight, because even if he had lost the last 2 rounds, he was still in front on the judges' cards. The problem was the injury and the type of injury, which is quite an unusual injury to have broken 4 bones in your eye socket, and as a doctor, the specialist diagnosed afterwards that he was lucky not to have detached his retina. So had he had done that, we wouldn't even been having a conversation about his fight career. It'd been all over. So he'd done the right thing, and obviously it's a very, very serious injury and painful injury. And he came back, after a timeout when it healed, he came back. The Lorena fight, I thought, was a bit of the making of him, to be quite honest, because I told his team before the fight, his training team, to make sure he's warm. It was December the 8th, it was in the open air. And I said, you need to be really, warmed up and keep warm, because I've seen fighters so many times in the first round get clipped when they're not warmed up, especially get hit on the top of the head, and they lose their equilibrium, and that's what happened. And he went down and he had to grit his teeth. But unfortunately for him, he tore his Achilles. And so that was a problem with him. As you watch the fight back, he can't plant his feet to let his shots go. And eventually he literally did grit his teeth and do that and stop Kevin. And when he gets somebody in trouble, he's a good finisher. And the fight against Usyk, I think, was actually the making of it. He could have won that fight. I'm not going to go into the debate about low pros. Everyone knows how I feel about that. And that, I think, mentally toughened him up after that fight, because I think he looked at it and he knows that had he gritted his teeth, had he sort of got the referee problem that he had in his head, not thought about it and just done what he's good at doing, he may have come through and won that fight, because he had him in trouble, he hurt him badly, and he just didn't capitalise on it. But I think that was the making of him, because I think he looked back at it after the conversations we had and see what he could have done. And since then, he's been more mature mentally, and he's certainly matured more physically. And he's still he's just 27, which is very, very young for a heavyweight.
This win really would be monumental in terms of, we sort of get the vibe from Eddie, from AJ himself, from the people in and around AJ, that this may be the best Anthony Joshua we've ever seen.
I hope he is. I hope he is, because I want to see my man beat the best man. He's coming off of a string of wins, but he's not fought the quality opposition that that my man has in his last few fights. He's fought world-class ranked fighters. You know, it's not Wallin, and it's not. And I'm not knocking it because he's done the job what he had to do against Wallin, and Ngannou obviously gave Tyson a few problems. But I think Tyson, as I've said all along, that was a really bad night at the office. But he still come through it, Tyson. But you know, AJ done what he had to do with him, and fought a guy who. And caught him with the same punch, I think it was 3 or 4 times. So, yeah, he's got confidence in it. But AJ's not stupid. He'll look and see who he's fought and who Daniel's fought, and he'll look at that and look at the quality of the opposition that he's been in with. And he knows better than us, and Ben knows better than us, that Daniel's had tougher opposition.
I'm going to use a big if, and you may not even speak on this, which I think is fair enough, because you have your man in Daniel Dubois. But if Anthony Joshua was to be victorious on Saturday night, regardless of the outcome of Fury Usyk 2, from comments from His Excellency, I suppose people in and around your camp a little bit, certainly the Matchroom camp, does it finally feel like we are in the best position ever for 2025 that we could see Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua in that ring together?
Well, you can see it, but I think you want to see the best fighters. I mean, Tyson's got a tough fight. He's got to come through, which I believe he will do. And I think my man will win. And if he wins, then he's the one who deserves it. Why? You know, the best man wins it, not because you're AJ or because, you know, whoever you are. You're there on merit. I don't get that. I don't get that thing. So you want to see if he gets beat, he can still fight Tyson. Make the fight happen. If that's what everybody buys into and they want to buy into it, I'll buy into it. I have no problem. I'd still like to see the fight, but you know, it don't mean that if my man comes through, which he will do, Daniel, he comes through, then he deserves to fight whoever it is out there. He deserved the rematch with Usyk.
I saw Dev Sani ask Daniel Dubois, and it was the first time I've ever seen Daniel in an interview be like almost like a little bit F you as such, and it was about the legitimacy of the IBF title. Now that always comes up whenever someone's won through the vacant belt as such. What's your side of the argument?
Well, it's very simple. You make fights, you sign up for them, and you sign up to box under the conditions of the relevant governing body. And the IBF do not recognise rematches. And they allowed the unification fight to take place. And what they said was that Usyk either fights the winner of Hrgovic and Daniel, which was Daniel, or vacate the title, or they'll strip him. Now, that's not the first person, that's not done that because it's Daniel Dubois. They've done that, so they've taken titles off of big name fighters, Canelo, Crawford. They've done it to many fighters because they're US based, they come under federal law, and they'll be in trouble if they don't.
But Warrington could catch him. I know it's a little different, but
it's the same thing. We're pissed off with that. You know, we're pissed. It's our turn to be pissed off. But one thing you say about them, whether you like them or you don't, they're consistent.
Lastly from me, Frank, a video that Turki Alalshikh put on Instagram the other night where he's speaking to Eddie and he's saying, you've got darts, you've got snooker. Am I right in insinuating that he is maybe expecting a little bit of an upset come Saturday night? And also, could we potentially see a rematch of the 5v5? I mean...
There'll be a rematch of the 5v5. There'll be a rematch of the 5v5. Listen, I've got to give him a break, haven't I?
10-0 was mad. And then just on the, do we get the vibe that potentially he thinks there could be an upset on Saturday? He's going to Eddie after Saturday night. You'll have snooker, you'll have darts.
That's true.
Frank Warren, mate, you're a diamond.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thank you for speaking to us at the Stomping Ground.